Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, as you may notice, this is another visual episode. You may be thinking, what the heck? We already been through one of those. This is dumb. Move on. Do something. Go back to the old ways. Well, rest assured, this isn't like a forever thing, but there's a special reason why I'm doing it today. We have hit 601 subscribers. That is pretty momentous, if I do say so myself. It's over half of 1,000, so that's a good thing. Thanks to everybody who has subscribed and supported. You know, this is about you as well as me. We're getting into some things that will be done. But before we get into that, let's of course get right into the news. The first news story is, of course, a really big one. The U.S. has ended the war in Afghanistan. It is over. We're done. It's over. There's honestly not much more I can say except this means Biden is a better president than Trump. And I don't care what anybody says, this solidifies it. He ended the war in Afghanistan. A campaign promise he fulfilled. A good one that he fulfilled, nonetheless. I mean, Trump fulfilled some campaign promises, but they just weren't good ones. I mean, I doubt that, like, he didn't even do, like, a lot of the stuff that he did say he was going to do. But he did a lot of things that he said he wasn't going to do. Like, he campaigned like this, oh, I'm this big, like, right-wing populist, but then he didn't do anything actually populist or whatever. But this is a good thing. We've ended the 20-year war in Afghanistan. That means I had 1 year of peace, and now this year, I mean, I guess technically next year will be the first one where it's like completely peaceful. So there's not much more I can say. Let's move on to a union story. Yes, a union story, but not a small union. This is one of the big ones. The AFL-CIO chief has warned of election consequences for pro-filibuster Democrats. Now, this is an interesting thing. AFL-CIO President Liz Shuler warned Tuesday that Democrats could face consequences at the ballot box if they don't support nixing the legislative filibuster to pass a sweeping pro-union bill and other Democrat priorities. Workers want to hold elected officials accountable on an agenda that they voted for. Right now, that agenda is being blocked by the arcane rules in the Senate. We believe that voters will take that into consideration for the next election, Shuler told reporters during a Tuesday event hosted by Christian Science Monitor. Elected officials, if they are not listening, that's when elections end up having consequences. The Richard L. Trumka PRO Act, a bill renamed for the longtime AFL-CIO chief following his death earlier this month. Did he die earlier this month? That seems like a long time ago, actually. Well, I mean, I guess technically not this month anymore, but it seems like pretty early. Like, not early, but like, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, she's basically warning Democrats right now, like, filibuster has to go if you want to do the things you want to do. And that's what everybody has been warning Democrats for basically the entirety of their tenure. You know, you need to do the things you promised to do. If not, you're going to have consequences. You know, some have been making broad ones, and some have been making smaller ones. But, like, one of the big ones that I'm seeing is, like, Democrats, like, of course, they're so worried about what's happening now, like, not even what's happening now, but, like, what is in their immediate eyesight, that they're not actually thinking of ahead. You see, Sinema and Manchin, they're not thinking ahead. They're not worried about the fact that all these people are going to rush to them and be like, hey, we'll get rid of you, but like they're not concerned about that. What they're concerned about is just like, oh, appearing to be like this bipartisan whatever. And the same thing can be said about Democrats in other levels. Like, for example, what's happening in California. California, if you don't remember, is going through another recall, and the leading candidate who is winning in the polls, Larry Elder, has been stating, like, if I win the recall, then I'm going to appoint a Republican to replace Dianne Feinstein because there's been a lot of speculation about Dianne Feinstein's health and stuff. But the thing is, like, a lot of Democrats are saying, this is why we need to vote against the recall. And it's like, bitch, if you were right, if you cared about this issue, why didn't you support Kevin De Leon, the Democrat who was to her left, that was, like, almost half her age? Why didn't you care then? But of course, they don't care until it actually comes back to bite them in the butt. Like in the freaking, like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. People were saying, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you need to retire. But then there were a lot of other people saying, like, no, you can't have Ruth Bader Ginsburg retire. Like, they're so concerned about this, like, what is going on in the immediate term. They're not thinking ahead. So this hopefully is a good sign that the right people are going to try and use these consequences. But anyways, the next story is coming from Latin America. Now, this one is very interesting. As you can see, Evo Morales estuvo cerca de morir es translatado a Mexico. Now, of course, that's Spanish, so let's see if it translates. Evo Morales was close to dying in transfer to Mexico. Pilot dodged a projectile, reveals AMLO. Evo Morales was about to die, and a pilot from the Mexican Armed Forces saved his life by dodging a rocket launched at the plane that was transporting him to our country. And no, it is not a movie plot. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador revealed in his most recent book that the operation to rescue Bolivian president after being deposed from power was more dangerous than what was publicly made known at the time. In fact, without the participation of the Mexican army, Morales would have been assassinated when the opposition forces, with the support of the Bolivian army, stripped him of his presidential power. After the end of the 2019 OAS pointed out irregularities, blah, blah, blah. There was a mission to fulfill, a mission in which there was no possible margin of error. The order was clear and concise to bring Evo Morales to Mexico, says AMLO in Half the Way. One of the most dramatic moments of Morales' rescue was when the plane took him out of the Bolivia, and to bring him to our country, had to perform a maneuver to avoid an RPG rocket launched from the airport moments after the aircraft took off. Now, there have been some people who have said, a decent amount of things, like, is this accurate? Did this thing actually happen? Or was this more of a, just exaggeration? Now, the thing is, I don't necessarily know if this is an exaggeration or not. I can't really attest to that, if AMLO's telling the truth or lying. But the fact of the matter is, this stuff has happened before. Remember, one that's going to be very prevalent in the future is what's going to happen in Chile. And Chile, for those who don't remember, Augusto Pinochet, literally, he said, we're not going to kill Salvador Allende. We're not going to do any of the sort. We just want to send him out of the country. But then in private radio communications with him and the other officers, when people who were inside of the palace were trying to leave and saying, can you please get us, some amnesty or something? He's like, you idiots. The amnesty is that I don't kill you immediately like I'm going to do to Allende. The plan was to have Allende fly away and then kill him, which is literally what was supposedly supposed to happen to Evo Morales. He was going to leave, and then they were going to kill him and be like, oh well. And luckily, that didn't pan out, because the Latin socialists of nowadays, they're smart and they understand what's going on. So, it's a good thing that Evo's lived, and this makes AMLO look cooler. Let's move on to the next story. This is one about the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court declines to block Texas 6-week abortion ban. The Supreme Court late Wednesday declined to halt a Texas banning abortions as early as 6 weeks of pregnancy, allowing the nation's most restrictive measures to remain in effect. The court ruled 5-4 against providing the relief to abortion providers, who asked the Supreme Court on Monday to put the law, which outlaws most abortions in the state, on hold. Chief Justice John Roberts and the 3 liberal justices were the dissent. Now, this is, of course, Not a good sign. And this is another one of those things where the arguments are being made. You know, a lot of Democrats are blaming Bernie. Obviously, who else would they blame? Because Democrats really love scapegoating the Jews. That's just a fact, apparently. Because every time there's a big problem, they blame Bernie. Like, logistically, what else could you point out to that conclusion? Because, of course, there are other people who are saying, of course, people who voted for Jill Stein or didn't vote for Hillary, they're the ones who did this. Some people say the Democrats did this because they didn't actually push for the nuclear option, which was the thing that was going to prevent, this is a situation that I need to explain. You see, Harry Reid instituted a law not a law, but a rule in the Senate that the Senate could not use filibusters. Well, no, wait. Was it that they could use filibusters or they couldn't use filibusters? No, wait, I'm screwing up my own mind, but anyways, basically they didn't push for, the situation enough, I don't think. I don't remember, but either way, this is a bad thing. No matter how your conclusion is how we got here, the end game is obviously very simple. This is a bad thing. So, yeah, we just gonna have to wait to see what happens. I don't know what else I can really explain. And the next story is me making fun of someone. Okay, so this is interesting. The Green Party leader apparently accidentally endorses the Liberals' environmental plan. There's a video here. I don't know if it's good, but let's see if it's good enough. I don't want the commentary. I just want the news itself.
We've called it smoke and mirrors before, and it is. If the Liberals are serious about climate action, we are ready to work with them. But I'll tell the people of Canada that if you want a real plan, one that is going to grow our economy, that is going to put us at the front of the competitive green economy of the future, help us to join the green rush, then the only option in this election for you is the Liberals. And you can count on us to work cooperatively and collaboratively with every...
Yeah, let's hear that again.
Front of the competitive green that is going to grow. I'll tell the people of Canada that if you want a real plan, one that is going to grow our economy, that is going to put us at the front of the competitive green economy of the future, help us to join the green rush, then the only option in this election for you is the Liberals.
Now, you see, here's the thing. Apparently, here's what they said in response. Mrs. Paul does not support the Liberal climate plan. What she meant to say was that the Green Party cannot support it. Front
of the competitive green economy of the future, help us to join the green rush, then the only option in this election for you is the Liberals.
So let's go through this again. What she meant to say was that the Green Party cannot support it.
To join the green rush, then the only option in this election for you is the Liberals. And
you know what? I ain't seeing that. And I'm not seeing that. The Green Party leader basically literally endorsed the Liberals' economic plan. This is the weird thing. What I meant to say was that if you want real action on climate, if you want real possibility on the strong green economy of the future, if you want Canada to join the green rush that's going global, there's only one option, and that one option is the Greens. But that's not what you said. You said something completely different. This is just so dumb. And that three members of parliament that they got in that last election, that's the highest number of people they're going to get. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if the Green Party does good. Hopefully, at least Paul Manley stays around. But anyways, let's move on to the next story, which isn't really a story. It's more of a drama that happened that I felt that I should comment on because it's something interesting. Now, Chelsea Manning did something interesting. She stated, Glenn Greenwald, I don't have $10,000 right now, but if I get it, I want to send it back to you from a donation you once did. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm terrified of you and everything you do. You're greedy, unprincipled, and I'm embarrassed for ever considering you a friend. Last night during the floods, I decided that I'm no longer going to be afraid of saying what's on my mind anymore, or taking a stand from the people that I once considered allies, but who have chosen to bash, harass, humiliate, intimidate, and lie to get ahead. To those he has hurt, I'm sorry, I didn't say anything, I was scared, and that is my fault. Now, this is coming from a lot of things. For those who don't remember, Glenn Greenwald, he was the guy who was a well-known journalist. He was the guy who helped Edward Snowden leak his whatevers. But he's recently going on a deep end. I've talked about him before in a previous episode of Thoughts On. But basically, he's been going on a huge rightward shift, in a sense. Like, he said, I think Donald Trump's a socialist. And he's jumped on, the vaccine denial. He's like, oh, the Democrats do everything bad, but then doesn't talk about the Republicans at all. But this is, a lot of things happen. So, this is where things get interesting. See, Glenn Green, the media reported on this, obviously, because, that's what they do, drama, and they were saying stuff like, Chelsea Manning is terrified of Glenn Greenwald, and Glenn Greenwald took it incredibly personally. Now, of course, you could say, well, yeah, she's saying that she's embarrassed to have ever considered him a friend. Of course he might take it a little bit personally. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If he felt personally wronged, then yeah, maybe he could be a little bit mad, oh man, what the F, Chelsea? But Glenn took it one step further. He decided, in a way to show I'm not creepy. Look, this is what he said. I have long been one of Chelsea Manning's most ardent defenders, both publicly and personally. In 2010, I broke the story of how she was being tortured and held in inhumane conditions during the Obama administration. Blah, blah, blah. He gave her his number, and then they talked about how they're friends and stuff. And this is one of the things. Chelsea Manning says she's terrified of former pal Glenn Greenwald. And he's like, the only thing worse than false accusations are deliberately vague. He's claiming that, he interpreted her saying that she was terrified of him as him saying that he was, hold on, let me see if I can find it, because this is so stupid. This is legitimately the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Let me see. Let me see. Where is it? Where the heck is it? Dang it, he's moved on. So it's... Where is it? Aha! This might be something. Friendships that depend on political agreements were never the friendships. When she was a president, repeatedly trying to kill herself, I was the only one who visited, spent hours on the phone, no good deed goes unpunished. What is it? Oh, and this is a BS thing. People have been saying this is a gotcha or something, but it's not. This is dumb. Anyways, I haven't spoken to Chelsea Manning, but she posted accusations today claiming she's terrified of me, insinuating I abused or threatened her. This is the big thing that is so stupid. Glenn interpreted her saying that she is terrified of him and claimed that it is him, saying, Chelsea saying, that he abused her or something of the sort. He interpreted it as that when it's that's not at all what she said. So, in a way to try and vindicate himself in accusations that he made up in his head, he decided to post literally every single screenshot of him and Chelsea Manning's DMs. Literally every single one. This is just so dumb. This is so freaking stupid. And here's more kickers. Chelsea, like, they've literally said that Chelsea is in the wrong for some reason. Like, they're saying, like, oh, Chelsea, you see, Chelsea out for grateful for like, Snowden, you ripped the mask up, but I'm disappointed that you attacked Glenn. He was, you see, this is weird. And I literally typed out, like, the only thing I could compare this to, well, let me see. This is another one. Like, Max Blumenthal's freaking idiot, but, like, she literally says, like, if Ken were around in 2010, he would have been the recipient. Let's put it that way. And it's like, so she likes Tim and would have given it to him and not Assange. So what? Like, this meltdown that Glenn Greenwald did, it's like, this is the only comparison I could make. That this is basically, if Glenn Greenwald wasn't gay, I would have he is gay, and I accused him of this anyways. This is basically, if this is the situation, this is Chelsea Manning, and this guy is Glenn Greenwald. This is essentially what happened. That's literally the only thing I could compare it to, because it's just so stupid. And of course, people somehow think Glenn is in the right. I don't understand. Glenn Greenwald has literally said that there's like this media narrative that they're making tomboys trans. Maybe that's a particular reason why Chelsea's a little bit hesitant to call Glenn Greenwald a friend. Like, this is just so stupid. But anyways, let's move on to something interesting. You see, the day this episode comes out is going to be Labor Day. And originally, for this episode, I was going to just talk about Labor Day. But then I saw this Wikipedia page, and I was like, yeah, this is nothing. So I just decided to instead dedicate a little bit of this episode to talk about Labor Day. So Labor Day is a federal holiday the U.S. celebrated on the first Monday of September of any given year to honor and recognize the American labor movement and the works and contributions of laborers, the developments achieved in the United States. It is a Monday of the long weekend known as Labor Day weekend. You see, originally, there's actually some debacle over who started Labor Day. Peter McGuire of the American Federation of Labor, or Knights of Labor the Central Labor Union guy, Matthew McGuire. Both of these people have argued, oh yeah, we did it. And of course it might be because they have similar last names and they have similar fields, being heads of unions. So, yeah. But here's the thing. A lot of more hardcore lefties like May Day more, because May Day is like an alternative holiday for the creation of labor. It's a popular holiday either way, and it is the International Workers' Day one. It's celebrated on May 1st. But the thing is, why did the US celebrate Labor Day instead of just making it like May Day? Because May Day was already a pretty prominent holiday. Now you see, this is why. The Haymarket Affair was held on May 4th. So people attributed, maybe if we held a labor holiday that close to when the Haymarket Affair happened, it would strengthen socialist and anarchist movements. So they decided to make a September May Day to basically try and make it a lot more of a normal, holiday. Sort of like how it's, not a radical socialist ones, but just for every worker. And, of course, it's also been commercialized heavily. So, yeah. Like I said, there's not much I could really say, so happy Labor Day to all the workers out there. So, now with that out of the way, let's move on to one of the two major topics of the celebration. First, we're going to do the Q&A. Usually when I held Q&As, they're not that good, but this time I actually got a pretty good amount of questions, and each from various groups of people. Now, the first one I'm going to do is one of a DM that I got. And this one, you'll see why this question is. I screenshot it instead of just going to the DMs itself because I didn't want other DMs out there, just in case. Anyways, here's the question I got. Did America deserve 9/11? From Aaron Green. Well, that day's literally a week away, so let's see. Let me explain. Did America deserve 9/11? And I stated in the DMs well, now your name's gonna be associated with that question forever. Lol. Basically, this is just a silly question, but it's a question nonetheless. So, I'll answer it. Did America deserve 9/11? Now, you see, that's where things get interesting. The word deserve kind of makes me raise my eyebrow. I know why you say America did, it's just, personally, deserve would imply the people, because it's there were so many innocent people killed, and it's I can't really say they deserved it, but of course you might say, well, I'm talking about did America deserve it, but the attack was an attack on innocent people, so I can't really say they deserved it, or if America deserved it, or whatever. I'm going to say no, but it was definitely coming. It was obviously coming if anybody was paying attention, given what was happening in the Middle East and such. Now, to delete that's for a video. Now, next one, let's move on to some Discord questions. We got two in here, I think. Another one from Aaron Green. Question: what kind of bear is best? I didn't really think of it ahead of time. I probably should have. But really, there's really only a couple answers you can give. The only answers you can really give are the brown bear, the black bear, the panda, or the polar bear. So probably one of those. Whichever one's native to North Carolina or something, or maybe just to be safe, polar bear. Polar bears are white, so they're cool. Norm of the North, my boy Norm of the North. Yeah. Next question is from Eli. Question: Norman Thomas or Eugene Debs? Now, this is an easy one. Eugene Debs. I'm sorry, but Norman is just the sequel to Debs. He's cool. I like Norman Thomas. But you can't beat Debs. You just can't beat Debs. So anyways, now on to the questions on my YouTube channel. Question 1 from Orange Lawai. What third parties do you think will disappear within the next 20 years, and what type of third parties do you think will emerge in the next 20 years? Now, that's the thing. That's one thing that's very interesting. What third parties do you think will disappear within the next 20 years, and what type of third parties do you think will emerge in the next 20 years? Now, that's an interesting thing, because the U.S. has a lot of third parties. Well, minor parties. The U.S. has a ton of minor parties. See, and this isn't even all of them. Let me see, which one? There's a list that has all of them. List of political parties in the United States. Look at all the third parties that exist in the United States. We have a lot of them. Never heard of it. Oh, wait, no, I have heard of this one. I just didn't see the logo. But yeah, there are a lot of third parties out there, and a lot of these are not going to stick around for much longer. A lot of these And a lot of them, they stick around for a long time, but then they just disappear. Because, let's look at this one. The International Socialist Organization, the Green Party USA, Modern Whig, Traditionalist Workers, Working People's Party. You see, these ones didn't die out that long ago. But the thing is, like, I don't know which... Like, honestly, there really isn't much to, like, explain. Traditionally, just minor parties, they usually will fall into, like, for example, like, I'll just say this. Libertarian Party is not going away anytime soon. They always have that consistent 1% to keep them around. That consistent group of people that are just rejected in that kind of stuff. Essentially, I have no clue. In the next, because 20 years is a long time, we don't know. But essentially, we're gonna at least keep like something like a Working Families Party, a Libertarian and Alliance Party, something along those lines. Okay, the next question, 3 from Daniel Ceballos. If you could handpick the next president, who would it be? Probably someone like a Nina Turner. Like, I mean, if I could just handpick them, I'd pick like Nina Turner, because she's the progressive person who cannot. Like, she's the progressive person who can't, like, she doesn't have anything to do right now, and we don't know what she's doing right now. We'll figure it out soon enough. Okay, I missed the first question that he asked, I guess. How old are you? I am 21 years old. And what do you think of Stacey Abrams? Now, Stacey Abrams is a little interesting. You see, originally I thought she was alright. She seemed to be pretty interesting. But as the time went on, I started like waning on her, because it was pretty clear that she was kind of like the Democrats' favorite person for a little bit. But then she abused that power very extensively. Like, she would hold like photo ops where it's like, here's why I should be president, or here's why I should be, like, she would, like, it's really weird. Like, she would seem to be actively campaigning for the spot of like the vice president, and then she would like say stuff like, "Oh, I might run for president. I'll figure it out in December." And it's like, Stacey, just pick something. It seemed like they pushed her into a position where she became too powerful too quickly. Like, I remember when it was just like, oh, she's just a norm. She's just, oh, she actually really got really close to beating the Georgia guy. And if there wasn't voter suppression, she would have won, which is true. But the thing is, she really didn't actually utilize that power to her advantage. But she didn't actually try to do it to use anything good. She instead seemed to just want to push her own agenda and be powerful or something. It was really dumb. And I basically waned on her, and she's annoying. Next questions are from Sunflower Socialist. Best president the U.S. never had. Now, this is interesting because hold on. See, I've actually written a video on this topic. The top 10 people who should have been president. Where basically I was going to rank a bunch of people who ran for president who I think should have been the president instead of who actually ended up winning. But the thing is, Mr. Beat actually did that video already. And while I technically could have made my own video of it as well, I still can. I kind of got bored with the topic because a lot of the people that are on the list I actually didn't really care about. But I might share what it is, or I might make the video. But I'll go ahead and just spoil number one. The number one person that I think should have been president is William Jennings Bryan. I think he legitimately, and spoilers, that video was supposed to lead into a video where I would talk about William Jennings Bryan, which will still come out at some point in the next year. And I really think this is an interesting one. Sunflower Socialist asks again, best prime minister the UK never had. I don't know much about the UK, so I'm just going to say Jeremy Corbyn. Okay, the next question is from Bjarn Jr. Ivinson. Can you do Farmer Labour Party? Now, this is interesting because the thing about the Farmer Labour Party is really weird. The Farmer Labour Party was, for those who have no clue what the Farmer Labour Party is, and I'm pretty sure this person is talking about the Minnesota Farmer Labour Party, but that's the thing about it. The Farmer Labour Party was a political party that they wanted, that left-wingers wanted to push for so bad that it was legitimately like, how could we not do this? Like, the left, they wanted to form a left-wing political group so bad that they wanted, it was to basically try and recapture the populist energy from the Populist Party. But they never actually managed to push for a Farmer Labour Party to actually be successful. It's really interesting. Anyways, the reason why it was so weird because, like, there's the Federated Farmer Labour Party, and then there was a different Farmer Labour Party. Then there was the Minnesota Farmer Labour Party, which exists from that Farmer Labour Party. So it's really hard to pick, like, just one thing to call the Farmer Labour Party. It could potentially happen. I could maybe do one about the Minnesota Farmer Labour Party exclusively, or maybe have like a video where it's like my video where I talk about all three progressive parties, and then I basically regale the story of all the Farmer Labour parties. But maybe not. The next question is from Cowboy69. Make a video about the Farmer Labour Party. Not a question. I worded it wrong. I meant to say, will you make a video about the American Freedom Party? Now this one's also interesting as well. I kind of got sus about him asking for this, but the American Freedom Party, for those who don't know, is a, like, white nationalist political party. But yeah, it's potential that I could make a video about it. It's not on the agenda, but I could still make it. And the last question is from Alex Kawa. Do you think ranked choice voting is the best solution for electoral reform, or would you prefer something like approval, star, or otherwise? Essentially, ranked choice voting is technically the only solution that makes the most sense, but we also need to talk about proportional representation. See, proportional representation would increase the likelihood of a third party getting in and stuff, but also ranked choice voting is probably just the safest bet to everybody, because if you legitimately are of, like, the belief of the spoiler myth and stuff, then ranked choice voting, even that is your friend. So yeah, like the title of this video, of the thank you for 600 subs video says, it served its purpose, so I'm afraid I must do the unthinkable. Say goodbye, my friends. It has served its purpose. Okay, anyways, now that we got all that out of the way, now let's move on to the second part of the celebration, which was the one that I was waiting for a while. This is what I'm going to be doing to celebrate 600 subs. We're going to go way back to the first video I ever did. And, you know, I saw Secular Talk and Humanist Report do this, so we're going to do it as well. We're going to be doing a live reaction to my, as many of you know, to my first video. And that's what we're going to be doing for the rest of this episode, so if you legitimately don't care, you can leave. But it's best to see where it all began. I don't know where this guy went. Anyways, let's see. Now let's just get into it, and hopefully I'll have stuff to say that'll make it interesting. Wait, I guess I should say a little bit before of the making of this video. See, this video actually took me 2 weeks to do, not because it was particularly like long or whatever, but it's just because that was like, this is the beginning one, so I have as much time as I can to make this one to officially get this channel off the ground. So, anyways, let's just get into the video itself. As many of you know, the US is currently dominated by a two-party system. Right off the bat, I gotta pause it immediately because this is something interesting. You see, for those who have no clue why the audio sounds like this, it's because I was setting up the mic and I got everything done, and apparently on Audacity, hold on, let me show you. I can actually show it on screen right now because I have the screen on. See, instead of having it set to the mic, I had it set to this, like the mic on my PC. So yeah, it definitely didn't help for the first reactions. So anyways, let's just continue. The two major political parties of the U.S. being the Democratic and Republican parties, respectively. However, what most of you don't know is that the U.S. has its fair share of third parties as well. And for those of you who do know of them, you may more likely believe that they are spoilers or wasted votes or don't stand a chance. Well, I'm here to tell you about 10 times. Ooh, right off the bat, it ain't sounding that good. I like the information, and you can see I'm trying to do quirky stuff. You see, because this one right here, it says right here, I stretched and hit my bed frame. Let me see, can I get the good quality? Stretched and hit my bed frame because I recorded the videos on my bed at the moment. Now I don't anymore. I got a desk. But it's getting cringy, but like, as you can see, I was trying to do the and I think I yawned in the middle of that recording, but I was just like, I want to get this video out because I'm so interested, and whatever. But anyways, I think I really need to stop pausing. I should just wait for the section to be done before I continue. They did stand a chance, so grab your Gadsden flags and Nader signs because here are the top 10 third. Now this is one that's interesting because third-party performances post 1900. You can hear me scratch myself. Oh, this is so bad. This video makes me think about the fact that I want to go back and do some of my old episodes over again. I might do this one because it's just but as you can see, this episode also this is one of the 2 episodes I think that I actually put the thumbnail in the video itself, and it doesn't show that well because when it's on the thumbnail it's okay, so who cares? But now that I have it on the video for a couple of seconds, you can see oh, the text is a little blurry, and I didn't cut out Robert M. LaFollette's head that good. See, this is white space and not his cheek or something. But that's just, okay, let's continue. Number 10, everyone who received faithless electors. Faithless electors are defined as a member of the United States Electoral College who does not vote for the presidential or vice presidential candidate for whom they have been pledged to vote for. Now, faithless elector can just be someone who voted for a Democrat instead of a Republican, but I'm talking about the faithless electors voted for someone who A, wasn't in the election, or B, was a third-party candidate. There have been many of these kinds of faithless electors in the history of the U.S., so here's some of the more interesting ones. Now, right off the bat, I have to explain an error that I didn't do, and I'm not going to put in the end-of-year error thing. The section is titled everyone who received faithless electors, but I don't include everybody who received faithless electors. For example, in the 1984 election, in the 1976 election, Reagan got a faithless elector, and he isn't mentioned in this section. And I might say, well, it doesn't matter. This is the top 10 third-party performances, right? Well, Yeah, I kind of screwed up there. But you'll see what I see. You'll see when it happens. John Hosper's Libertarian Party, 1972, the first ever candidate for the Libertarian Party, got an electoral vote from Roger McBride, who would eventually run for the Libertarian Party himself in 1976. Roger McBride was pledged to vote for Richard Nixon. This vote was interesting due to it being the first vote for the Libertarian Party, having his... I paused right before I paused, but that's just like... You heard that, right? I'm not the only one who hears that, right? First ever candidate for the Libertarian Party got an electoral vote from Roger McBride, who would... Roger... No. Anyways, let's continue. Eventually run for the Libertarian Party himself in 1976. Roger McBride was pledged to vote for Richard Nixon. This vote was interesting due to it being the first vote for the Libertarian Party, having his vice presidential candidate, Tawny Nathan, being Tawny Nathan. The first Jewish individual and the first woman to get an electoral vote, and for having John Hospers possibly be the first homosexual to receive an electoral... I don't know why I said homosexual. That was so weird. I don't know why. I think it's because early on I wanted to try and be a lot more, like, informative. Like, you see, I said Jewish individual. I could have just said Jewish person. But I said, like, he's the first homosexual. Electoral vote. It is constantly debated whether or not this is actually true, but it's good to give the Libertarians something. It's good to give the Libertarians something. Ooh. See, that's a jab at the Libertarian parties, because I wanted to give them, like, I wanted to be a little more, like, I wanted it to be informative, but also entertaining. That's what I try to do, but I see some people, it doesn't work out that well, but it does sometimes. But anyways, let's continue. John Edwards, Democrat. See, Mike went back on. That was actually a vote that was cast in Minnesota, presumably for John Kerry's running mate, Senator. And presumably? Come on. Presidential candidate in 2004 and 2008, John Edwards. And due to the fact that all Minnesota electors put Edwards' name on the VP ballot, spelled correctly this time, we can assume that this elector did it on accident. I say presume because Minnesota's electors remain anonymous, which is probably for the best. See the reference, anonymous. Who'd really want to be known as the guy who voted for a man who doesn't exist? Bernie Sanders. See, I think you're going to get... No. It's going to be more evident in the next one. But this is kind of why it's, like, a little interesting, because he's a Democrat. Well, he ran as a Democrat, but he got faces like as an independent, so... I mean, this is where things get debated. Democrat/Independent, 2016. Independent senator from Vermont and former 2016 president. The line. I hate these little editing errors. Candidate, where he managed to get 43.1% of the vote in the primaries. However, the nomination, of course, went to Hillary Clinton. A mix of DNC/WikiLeaks emails and Hillary Clinton's general untrustworthiness compelled a lot of Bernie Bro to vote for Bernie Bro, where he got 111,850 votes. That's interesting, overall, actually. And 18,218 votes in Vermont. But I think David Mulinix from Hawaii the award for the ultimate Bernie Bro for voting. The ultimate Bernie Bro. David Mulinix, the ultimate Bernie Bro. I remember, like, this is something you should know. This guy actually went to a March for Medicare for All rally in Hawaii. And, I don't know if I mentioned it in the video, but, like, I think his his VP slot went to Tulsi Gabbard. Let me check. I mean, that didn't do nothing. Let's verify. I don't know if this will help verify, but whatever. Faithless selectors. Where is it? Where's the faithless selectors? There. No, he voted for Warren as the VP slot. But, like, this guy actually went to, like, a March for Medicare for All rally. For him, for president, the Electoral College, guess Clinton still needs ointment for that burn. Ooh. John Kasich, Republican, 2016, an American politician, former television host. You see, this is the one that, like, makes no sense. Why did I include John Kasich? like, Bernie has, like, that, but, like, why include John Kasich? The 69th governor of Ohio and 2016 presidential candidate, where he got 13.8% of the vote in the primary. Kasich owes his spot on the list to Christopher Supran, who's... Oh, and I should mention this. Christopher Supran actually has repeatedly, like, run for office a couple of times. That's actually interesting. One of 2 Texas faithless electors that went against the state. He also earned 2,600 write-in votes. He would have gotten another electoral vote, but it was disallowed. Colin Powell, Republican. Colin Powell. Former 4-star general and former Secretary of State. This Rockefeller Republican was praised for his moderate/centrist views, so much so that he was considered for the nominations of both major parties multiple times. However, he steered clear from the presidential campaign until 25 people wrote him in, and 3 people cast their electoral votes for him rather than Hillary Clinton. Those 3 individuals being Levi Guerra, Peter Brett, and Esther John, respectively. I wonder where these 3 up to now. That's just... I mean... This section of the video is dumb, but I don't know why I included it because I wanted to be part of the list, but I was like, I didn't need to include it that much. 2016, an American author, physician, and former politician, he was the U.S. representative of Texas on 2 separate occasions for different districts. He's also no stranger to presidential runs due to the fact that he ran for the Libertarian Party in 1988, where he got 0.47% of the popular vote. I didn't need to include this much information. 2008, gaining 5. I didn't need to include all this information. And again in 2012, where he got 10. I didn't need to include this information either. Bill Green of Texas chose to cast his electoral vote for Dr. No rather than Donald Trump. He was even invited to Ron Paul's show, The Ron Paul Liberty Report, link in the description, for an interview. Faith Spotted Eagle. Now this is a lie, actually. Faith Spotted Eagle's not an independent. She's a Democrat, actually. But it's funny, I literally linked the Ron Paul Liberty Report, the show where Ron Paul had a stroke live on air, in the description. That's weird. Report. Well, he didn't have it in this one, but like, you know. Faith Spotted Eagle, Independent, 2016, a Native American activist and politician. She's a member of the Yakton Sioux Nation who attempted to block the development of the Keystone. Wait, hold on. Did I crack my knuckles in that? Or was I just imagining that? She's a member of the Yakton Sioux Nation who attempted to block... Oh! I cracked my knuckles live on air. I would never do that in real life. Of the Keystone XL pipeline and the Dakota Access Pipeline. Before 2016, she ran for the South Dakota House of Representatives 10 years ago. The South Dakota House of Representatives. Like the U.S. House, but only for South Dakota. I didn't need to include that, but it's like, whatever. Prior, she received 1 electoral vote from Robert... Well, I mean, that's interesting. I forgot about that. Satnicum Jr. This vote is prominent due to it being the first electoral vote for president that went to a... I mean, this is a good fun fact. Number 9, Strom Thurmond, Dixie. Here we go. The video actually begins proper. Democrats, 1948. An American politician who served as the 103rd governor of South Carolina and would later serve 48 years as a U.S. senator, starting out as a Democrat but then later becoming a Republican. But in the 1948 election, he and many other Southern Democrats left the Democratic Party since more and more Democrats, like the incumbent president Harry Truman, were becoming more and more in favor of the civil rights movement. I didn't need to say more and more in favor of twice. That was dumb. It's because I didn't know what I was saying. I mean, I do know what I was saying, but I stumble on my speech. I still do it now, but this time I'm better at it. And founded the States' Rights Democratic Party, better known as the Dixiecrats, a conservative, pro-segregationist states' rights party. Strom ran as a candidate for this party and received 2.41% of the states' rights. This is actually what I like about my old editing software, which was the Dixiecrats, a conservative, pro-segregationist states. This is actually what I like about my old editing software a lot better. You see, and I didn't know this at the time, but like I could include a mask that would like show this, but not this. And if I'd known that, I would have actually done it better. But like a lot of these videos are like, a lot of these things are like cropped, so I could include all these 3 things at once. Then I like that. It was actually interesting. Rights Party. Strom ran as a candidate for this party and received 2.41% of the popular vote and 39 electoral votes. The party rejoined the Democratic Party after the election was over. Now, this was one of 2 factions of the Democratic Party that split off in 1948, alongside Henry Wallace and his Progressive Party, which split off in the other direction of being further left than the Democratic Party. I cite this election as being one of the major pieces of evidence that the spoiler effect does not exist, because of the fact that 2 factions of the Democratic Party split off from Harry Truman, and Truman still won the election, but that's just me. See, I set up this. This didn't get paid off until like, I don't know, 2020, I think. But like I set this up way early on in advance. It's pretty good. Number 8, Ralph Nader, Green/Independent, 19... I don't know why I did this either. I guess the reason why I did this obviously is to show like all the like campaigns that he ran for. But the thing is, I didn't need to, because Ralph Nader, the only one is prevalent is like the 2000 election. But I will consistently mention like these elections as well, and the fact that he became an independent, when in fact that's something that should be saved for like another video. But, you know, whatever. 1996, 2000, 2004, and 2008. American political activist, author, lecturer, and attorney, noted for his involvement in consumer protection, environmentalism, and government reform causes, Nader was courted by many left-wing political parties to run for the U.S. since 1972, and was finally drafted to be the first candidate of the Green Party in 1996. However, Nader didn't really make much of an impact to the uninformed until the 2000 election, where he amassed 2.74% of the popular vote. But he received 97,488 votes in Florida, votes that if they went to Gore, Florida would have turned blue and made Al... I like the fact that I include feature on that instead of just a picture of Al Gore. Just like, oh yeah, that's something I would do. Gore president. Yeah, I don't really blame Al Gore for all of his failures. And see, and this is me clout chasing, because, you know, like the second I did this video, I literally added Mr. B and basically was like, yo bro, can you like, I stole your style. And he's like, oh yeah, cool. That's so stupid. I did that, but whatever, he was cool with it. Blame Ralph Nader, an individual who has done more for America than I invented the internet. I did the thing. I said the joke that people made that has been disproven. Whatever. Despite the controversy, Nader continued campaigns in 2004-2008, earning 0.38% and 0.56% respectively. I only included like a small tidbit for the latter two elections, but that's fine. Number 7, Gary Johnson. Now this is interesting. You see, because like on Wikipedia and stuff, like when it's like notable third-party performances, Gary Johnson is notoriously left out for some reason, despite the fact that he literally had like gotten more votes than like Ralph Nader, which is why I included him in this video. But you know, Gary Johnson didn't seem to like make a big impact on, you know, the big grand scheme of things. You know, like the freaking, what is it? You know what I'm talking about, like the Florida crap. But whatever. Libertarian, 2012 and 2016, an American businessman, author, and politician. He was the 29th governor of New Mexico from 1995 to 2003 as a member of the Republican Party. He ran for the Republican ticket in 2012, earning 4,360... see, I was actually trying to correct myself during the videos. I always try to do that. 64 votes in the primary. He then dropped out and moved on to the Libertarian Party, gaining 0.99% of the popular vote. But much like Nader, he didn't make much of an impact until the next election, where he got 3.28% of the popular vote. In fact, he was the closest out of third... I include the meme. Third-party candidate in a long time getting into the CPD sponsored debates, with him getting at least 10% in a lot of national polls. He attracted people with his policy of fiscal conservatism and social liberalism. However, certain aspects of his campaign, such as What's Aleppo and the infamous tongue thing. Yes, the infamous tongue thing that I guarantee not a lot of people wouldn't even know, but whatever. For those who don't know, I guess I should explain it for those who don't know, like, Gary Johnson, he, for some reason, in the middle of a discussion with some person, they're like, so, what would you do if you got on the debate stage? He said, I think I would not say anything. And they're like, what? Whatever. More than likely led to his poll numbers dropping before the debates. Number 6, Eugene V. Debs. The first of many. See, I don't think I actually knew much about Debs when I made this one, but, I mean, he gets mentioned. Debs, Social Democratic Party of America / Socialist Party of America, 1900, 1904, 1908, 1912, and 1920. An American Union leader, Debs was one of the founding members of the Industrial Workers of the World. He was an outspoken social democrat who ran for president a grand total of 5 times. In 1900, he ran for the short-lived Social Democratic Party of America, which he founded. When he reformed the party into the Socialist Party, he became its candidate in almost every other election that he participated up to his death in the elections of 1904, 1908, 1912, and 1920. Fun fact, in the 1920 election, Debs ran his campaign from prison cell. Yeah, that is a fun fact. When he was jailed for speaking against World War I. He also ran for Congress in He ran for Congress, but it didn't amount to anything.
However,
it didn't.
The 1912 elect is when his brand of...
The 1912 elect. Remember, he did really well in the 1912 elect.
War I. He also ran for Congress in 1916. However, the 1912 elect is when his brand of socialism peaked because he got 4th place with 5.99% of the popular vote. This was the case as this was the progressive era where workers' rights was becoming a very big issue and all the candidates had a somewhat progressive platform. If you're curious, he actually won up to 4 counties and was 3rd place in quite a...
Honestly, I remember I include this one because that's really interesting. He actually got like 2nd place in Florida. That's really weird.
Few states. He wasn't and still isn't covered as often as the others since the election had a lot more drama with the 2nd and 3rd place candidates, but this did show how workers' rights was a big issue at the time where he nearly got 6% of the vote. And if you believe that this description was rather lax, don't worry, I'll go more in depth about
see? Because I always thought the idea like go back and like add cards to like prominent stuff and stuff. I don't do it much anymore because I get bored, but like I mean, I try to as much as I can.
Eugene V. Debs in the future. Number 5, John B. Anderson.
The guy I just made a video about. John B. Anderson.
Independent. 1980. A former U.S. congressman and presidential candidate from Illinois. As a member of the Republican Party, he represented the 16th electoral district from Illinois from 1961 through 1981. He entered the Republican primaries in 1980, running on a Rockefeller Republican platform, which for those of you who don't know is a centrist Republican platform.
Wait, but I already said that. Did I not already say that? Yeah, I said that right here. Oh, I remember why
running on a Rockefeller Republican platform.
That's why I did this, because I was like, oh yeah, I said it twice.
For those of you who don't know, is a centrist Republican platform, gaining 12.2% of the vote in the primary. He later left the election and chose to run as an independent, gaining 6.61% of the popular vote. At one point, he even participated in a debate with Ronald Reagan.
I couldn't find anything that wasn't a Getty Images version of it, but whatever. Screw Getty. I don't like the fact they include watermarks. It's a picture. It's a picture. Why do you need a watermark for that unless you made it yourself?
Carter chose not to participate.
This is hard to read. I don't know if it's just the video itself or it's just the quality, but I stand by this statement where it's like Carter was he was I don't want to swear on this episode. No fucking swearing here, but he was a coward for doing that.
Due to the fact that Anderson was included. Later political activities of him include endorsing Ralph Nader and joining former Salt Lake City Mayor Rocky Anderson, no relation, to create the center-left political party, the Justice.
I think I only mentioned that because I was like really obsessed with the Justice Party for a little bit. Now I'm not so obsessed with it, but whatever. Like I really was obsessed with this for some reason. Like me and Rocky Anderson are just so the same, but it's like they didn't really do anything, and now they're coming back, but they're not even really espousing anything left-wing anymore. Like Rocky Anderson's literally like trying to push for like a bipartisan thing with the Justice Party now, and it's like, ew.
Party. Number 4, George Wallace.
I used purple because that was what was on the Wikipedia page.
The American Independent Party, 1968. The 45th governor of Alabama, having served 2 non-consecutive and 2 consecutive terms as a Democrat. Wallace is remembered for his Southern neo-Dixiecrat and pro-segregation.
He did the white power symbol back in the 60s.
And Jim Crow positions during the mid-20th century period during the Civil Rights Movement, declaring in his 1963 inaugural address that he stood for, quote,
and I say segregation.
I didn't even edit that properly.
Now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation.
In his 1963
that he stood for, quote, and I say,
quote,
and I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
I actually remember I told a teacher about this. She was a black teacher, and I literally said, like, George Wallace was controversial because he said that he stood for segregation, not segregation forever, and then she said, oh yeah, no, I support segregation. It's like, huh? I don't know what that was about.
He was a U.S. presidential candidate for 4 consecutive elections, in which he sought the Democratic Party nomination.
Yeah, this is real. This is the actual Alabama Democratic Party symbol. That's weird. In 1964, 1972, and 1976. But his most famous, or rather infamous, campaign was in 1968 for the American Independent Party, a far-right paleo-conservative segregationist political party. Dude, I can't say that! The paleo-cons will get really mad when I say that this party was paleo-conservative. Party founded 1 year prior. Wallace managed to receive 13.5% of the popular vote and 46 electoral votes. Surprisingly, as stated before, he ran again in 1972 with a platform of, "Hey guys, I'm not racist anymore," when he got third place, or 23.5% in the Democratic primaries. However, he was later shot and paralyzed. Despite that, he ran one more time in 1976, where he once again got third place, but this time only 12.8% in the primaries. Yeah, that is, that is really weird. I did contemplate making a video on George Wallace because Wallace is just a really interesting figure. Because I remember I was watching a documentary about him, and I suddenly just literally all of his segregation nonsense was lies. He didn't believe any of it. Apparently he didn't believe in any of the segregation stuff that he espoused. And he was actually and the only reason that he spoke in favor of segregation was because it was the only way that he could win in Alabama. But it makes him and I've always had that debate, and you might want to answer it yourself. Does it make him a better person or a worse person that he didn't actually speak in favor of, that he wasn't actually in favor of segregation? Because I do think that it makes him a worse person because, he used it to a political advantage. He let a bunch of people get hurt just for political points. It's so dumb. This guy causes MLK's assassination, according to the official story. Number 3, Robert M. La Follette Sr., Second Progressive Party, 1924. An American... 3, Robert M. La Follette Sr., Second Progressive Party, 1924. That's... I do that still in my podcast, but why didn't I edit that out? I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know why I didn't just edit that out. An American Republican... Wait, what? Robert M. La Follette Sr.
Did it
Second
skip?
Progressive Party, 1924. An American Republican and progressive politician. Fighting Bob represented Wisconsin in both the House of Representatives and in the Senate. He also served as
Hey, that's me!
Wisconsin's 20th governor, a progressive Republican for most of his political career, including Senate.
Wait, what?
Progressive Follett Sr., Second Progressive Party, 1924. An American Republican and progressive
Oh yeah, that's the joke.
Fighting Bob represented Wisconsin
Then
in
why did I
both
say
the
it
House of
again?
Representatives and in the Senate. He also served as Wisconsin's 20th governor, a progressive Republican for most of his political career, including
But why did I say that at the beginning if I mentioned it again?
run for president in the interesting presidential election of 1912, where he got 36 delegates in the primaries, but afterwards split off to create the Second Progressive Party in 1924. He earned a grand total of 16 split off to create the second.
You can hear that I literally was 1924.
Second Progressive Party in 1924. He earned a grand total of 16.61% of the popular vote, and his home state of Wisconsin's 13 electoral votes. La Follette has been called, quote, arguably the most important and recognized leader of the opposition of the growing dominance of corporations over the government, which is evident by him being the second chance for progressives in the U.S. in the 1920s to get their voices heard.
Mm-hmm. There's not much I can really say about that. Not accounting for... I made mention of these guys, but whatever.
And this isn't going to be the first or last time progressives will be dominant in the political climate, as we'll see later on in this list. Number 2, Henry Ross Perot, Independent/Reform Party, 1992.
Wait, what?
Voices heard. And this isn't going to be the first or last time progressives will be dominant in the political climate, as we'll see.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I'm stupid. I don't know why I was confused for a second.
Later on in this list. Number 2, Henry Ross Perot, Independent/Reform.
I like how I say his full name, Henry Ross Perot, but then just have Perot, Ross Perot here.
Party, 1992 and 1996. An American business magnate and former politician with a net worth of $4.1 billion. Perot, seeing more people be disillusioned by the two-party system, ran as a centrist-oriented independent outsider. Perot.
I like that.
Be disillusioned by the two-party system.
I like when I do the memes. I'm trying to do that a lot more, especially the visual memes. not the visual memes, but like, you know what I mean, like the I don't know, the ones that are like the video memes. I'm trying to do a lot of more of those. Like, you know, sometimes I'll do the Dean scream, and because I want to like be relevant with the hip young kids, because kids are gonna remember this meme exactly in 5 years.
To the Independent Outsider, Perot focused his campaign on his plans to balance the federal budget, further economic nationalism, strengthen the war on his campaign.
I don't know why I included
that. The federal budget,
I don't know why I included this. Like, I mean, one of the things I try to do early on is like try to have like every single word I say have like a picture that mentioned it, but now I'm having a lot more videos where I have like a dead space where I can just talk. Like, it's just the blank screen. Because it's like, yeah, some people don't need like the visuals at that point. Sometimes I guarantee you a lot of people who watch this videos will probably just turn it on in the background and then just do something else.
Economic nationalism, strengthen the war on drugs, and implement electronic town halls throughout the nation.
I didn't notice this at the time, but like, you can see that there's an obvious watermark here.
To promote direct democracy. Perot managed to get enough in the polls to get into the debate with Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush, one of the only times in recent history where more than two presidential candidates from different political parties participated in a CPD-sponsored debate. In the end, he received 18.91% of the popular vote. Afterwards, his centrist supporters joined him to form the Reform Party. Perot, however, wasn't as successful as last time, getting only 8.4% of the popular vote, and the Reform Party never recovered.
See, I like that one. I actually try to advertise videos a lot more, like future episodes that I would do.
Before I unveil my number one pick, let's go over some of the honorable mentions that didn't earn quite as many votes.
I don't know. Like, I mean, honorable mentions for this video might make sense, I guess, because I wanted to include a lot more minor voices, because that was what the channel was originally made to begin with, like, bring minor party candidates into the forefront, rather than the mainstream media that he puts the minor party candidates in the background. But now, as you can see, I've kind of like drifted a little bit away from that. Not completely. I keep trying to make a podcast to try and explain that, but, you know, it's just because not a lot of third-party stuff is happening. That's why I'm doing a lot more other stuff. It's just a lot more things like that are happening and are in the forefront of, like, what I can see. But anyways, let's see who made the honorable mentions. I kind of forgot some of them.
Jill Stein, Green.
Yes, Jill Stein. I'm still with Jill. I don't care what anybody says. I'm still with Jill Stein, no matter what. I don't care if she's sometimes cringy. I still like her.
2016, with 1.07% of the popular vote. Ed Clark, Libertarian.
I forgot about Ed Clark. That guy exists.
1980, with 1.06% of the popular vote. Eugene W. Chafin, Prohibition, 1908.
Yes, this one actually got the Prohibition Party to, like, appear in a little bit. Just like, oh yeah, thanks for one of our party members being part of the thing. That's like, okay, thank you.
1.7% of the popular.
Oh yeah, by the way, I just remembered. They didn't comment on my video about the Prohibition Party. What the F, bro?
Vote. Alan L. Benson, Socialist, 1916, with 3.17% of the popular vote.
I remember Alan L. Benson. That I don't know why I interjected just to say that. I remember Alan L. Benson. Of course I do. But it's weird. Alan L. Benson's really weird because it's like Socialist Party. It's like Debs, Benson, Thomas, and Hoops or Hops. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like Benson's weird. Like, he's just like, hey.
William Lemke, The Union.
What the heck? Is this just because the video is just so stupid quality?
Vote. Alan L. Benson, Socialist, 1916, with 3.17% of the popular vote. William Lemke.
Is this just because the video is just so bad quality? Or is this like just... Is this how I made it? Or is this how... It's just coming on my screen. I can barely read that. William Lemke. That's pronounced Lemke. But also, I don't know since you can't read this, but like, you may notice, like, just pay close attention.
17% of the popular vote.
3.17.
William.
This says 3.17 as well, but listen.
Lemke, The Union Party, 1936, with 1.93% of the popular vote.
And you see, the weird thing with honorable mentions, I just put them in a random order. I didn't put them in, like, their vote totals or anything of the sort. Oh, no, wait, maybe this is how much votes they got, and, like, instead of the percentage,
vote. John G. Smith, American Independent Party, 1972, with 1.42% of the popular vote. And lastly, Henry A. Wallace of the Third Progressive Party, 1948, with 2.31% of the popular vote.
I don't know why I included that many people in like this thing. I don't remember why I included that. I think it's just because I really wanted to have like more people on the list. But, you know, I could have just made the video a little bit longer, but I didn't. And as you can see, the quality was very bad.
Vote. Number 1, Theodore Roosevelt, Progressive/Bull Moose Party, 1912, an American statesman, author, explorer, soldier, and naturalist who served as the 26th President of the United States from 1901 to 1909 for the Republican Party. He later chose to leave after his second term and endorsed William Howard Taft, his Secretary of War and protege.
You can't really make a video about William Howard Taft and Teddy Roosevelt's like debacles without having this image in it. You just can't. It's just so much.
However, Taft chose to backpedal on most of Teddy's promises to the...
I like political cartoons. They're so cool. Look at this one. That's pretty cool. I don't know why I keep skimping on the episode where I'm supposed to like write one about political cartoons, the politics and media about it. I keep skimping. Every time I do the spin wheel where it's like, oh, which video will I write now? When it does that, I'm like, I'll skip it. It's so dumb.
The public. Teddy then decided to take up the mantle again and run for president, gaining 51.1% and actually winning the most votes in the Republican primaries, but Taft won more delegates.
See, you see this? I got this. I was paying close attention. I did not notice this. He won the most delegates, and You see the comparison I'm trying to make here? I'm trying to make a Bernie comparison. Get it? Even though the comparison doesn't necessarily work because, it doesn't necessarily work because Taft, Roosevelt actually won the primaries and Bernie did not. I still say that Bernie should have gotten the delegates he deserved, but whatever.
And eventually won the nomination. But rather than just endorsing the winner, he took his supporters, left the convention, and created a brand new political party called the Progressive Party.
See? I just did a video on this guy. I'm Johnson. Who's this? I can't read this.
Better known as the Bull Moose Party. During the campaign, the famous incident where he got shot and continued to do a speech by adding, "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether or not you fully understand that I have just been shot."
There's actually a nice video. I forget who made it. It's like a video about the incident itself, like the full speech. And it actually explains that the incident is not as clear as people think. Like, the way it's described is like he gave the speech and then he was like so awesome and blah blah blah. It happened a lot less theatrically in real life. You see, when he got shot, he of course he inevitably did get tired and sit down because he was bleeding out of his chest, but he still did move forward and do the speech, which is kind of cool.
But it takes more than that to kill a bull moose. In the end, Roosevelt won second place overall with 27 points.
Now, this is one thing that's very interesting. You see, I remember in high school, they never taught us that fact. They always taught us Roosevelt ran for president, and so did Taft, and so did Wilson. And Roosevelt being in the election is what caused Taft to lose. But they don't teach us the fact that Roosevelt won more votes than Taft. Because if you hear that fact, you might actually be more inclined to say that Taft may have ruined the election for Roosevelt. Would you not? And it doesn't matter. I explained it very simply. I actually did calculations for both things where it's I calculated if in every single state that was a progressive win or was a Democrat win, I actually calculated a lot of the states and said, what would have happened if all of the Roosevelt supporters and all of the Taft supporters voted for the same candidate? I just counted the numbers in total and then made two little maps. One map if it was all for Roosevelt and one map if it was all for Taft. And either way, they win. But of course, that didn't end up happening.
40% of the popular vote and 88 electoral votes. This would be the last time that a third-party candidate would get second place and is commonly cited as evidence of the spoiler effect. Thanks for watching.
See, that's the end. Oh, Oh, this one's interesting. I forgot that this one is that in my earlier videos. I think I just did like whatever videos popped up next, and yeah, I included like a thing about Mr. Bede, and so yeah, that was my first video and my reaction to it. It could have been better, but it also probably was a good first step forward. I do like how it ended up. I will inevitably say like, yeah, it can be improved. I criticized it and I made fun of it in this video, but yeah, overall I will still say that I enjoyed making it, and I enjoyed posting it, and I enjoyed watching it again, and I'm enjoying the 4,467 views it got, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I might react to more episodes, but I mean, I probably won't. It's not in the main. It's not a thing I plan to do. Maybe if you want, I can make it like a Patreon side series if you want to change the patron tiers, because I'm thinking about that. But I mean, yeah, it all started. We started from the bottom. Now we're here. In the description, it stinks because I literally just posted the first paragraph in the description and call it a day. So yeah, that's all I gotta say on this episode. Here's to the 601 subscribers that you have right now. Love you, and hopefully you'll get a couple more by the end of the year. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report, or consider supporting me on Patreon.